that I know who I'm doing the reading for today because, child, listen, it's been a motherfucking day. Okay. Um, Let me make sure real quick. I'm trying to do too many things at one time. All right. Who do I got a reading with today? I think I'll be getting a reading soon. Okay, awesome. I love that. I'm having a deal this. Hey, memory. I'm having a deal this month where you can get endings readings for a 99. It is a 30 minutes to 45-minute reading, and it's basically figuring out what it is that you need to end right now in your life in order for you to welcome in the new. Because the autumn equinox is September 22nd. So in the Bible, when they said that they had the Last Supper, right, it was an abundant time. Really, it represents all 12 zodiacs kind of coming together, because the autumn equinox and the spring equinox are basically when the day is the same amount, meaning like the day and the night is the same amount of time, right? So it's like the balancing point, the tipping point, you know. And so it's a really, really abundant time because it starts the feminine cycle. And so this month we have 9999 portals, which are portals for closing energy, you know, out. And so these endings readings that are happening this month on every Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. I've been doing them on Wednesdays now too. These are really meant to help you to figure out what it is that you need to release so that you can usher in the new with this new energy. So you should be, you know, if you've been devoted this year to your craft, if you've been doing the work and such, it should be an abundant time for you. But yeah, today, so I was thinking about getting it after the wedding, but then again, I want to know now as well. Yeah, you got the wedding coming up in just a couple of happy wedding, girl. Hey, Yosef, Yesef. Nope, Yefith. Hey. Um, so yeah, so I realized, y'all, because I was trying to help my client today with communication skills and stuff like that, because I think, like, I know I communicate very well, but I feel like it comes from practice. Like, I was not always very good at communicating, right? And so part of him, he's like nearing the end of his mentorship, and so I was working with him today on like how to communicate, and it just reminded me how difficult it was for me in the beginning to really I joined the community. Oh, period, love that. I just remember how difficult it was for me in the beginning when I first started communicating, because I felt like anytime that I would go to communicate, I knew what I was going to say, but then I would feel like I didn't want to say the wrong thing because I knew my words hurt. When I do say something, people are offended. People always are trying to, you know, either say that I'm being mean or cruel or rude or whatever, when honestly, I'm just telling you the truth, and I'm not even saying it in a mean way. So I had to kind of learn how to navigate communication with compassion and acknowledgement of what the other person is saying. And so I did it a lot of the wrong ways before I did it the right way. And so today, as I was like teaching that to my client, I realized that when you turn off your emotions, you turn off your ability to communicate clearly, because you don't, your emotions are telling you how you feel about something. It's like your soul communicating to you what the issue is or what need it is that you need in that moment. And so when you turn that off, of course, the communication is going to fall short, because your throat is connected to your heart and your womb. Those are both memory vaults. One of them is ancestral. The other one is like on a soul level, right? And so if you don't know how to tap into your emotions, then you're not going to know how to communicate clearly. And so today, what I was helping him do was just identify what is happening in the situation. Like, what is this person trying to communicate to you? And then how do you feel about that? And so I thought that was really interesting, because I hadn't looked at that in a while, and just helping somebody navigate. I was like, oh, damn, like communication really is difficult. But if you learn how to communicate, you could take on anything. You could do anything. You know, like, I feel like it's one of the most important skills you could ever have. In fact, I think it was like a CIA agent or something like that was doing like a podcast or doing like something. And he had mentioned that one of the most primal life skills that people need is communication skills. Just here to say I love you all. Thank you. I love you back. So we were doing that. So let me give y'all, I want to give y'all some examples just to see if y'all can identify what's being communicated to you, okay? And y'all can drop this in the chat if y'all want to participate, right? But so one of the things that I said to him was, and what I was doing was we was doing like kind of like mock communication, right? And so I would say something to him and I would have him respond to me. One of the things that I said to him was, why are you so sensitive all the time? It's not a big deal. Because I feel like that's something people hear all the time. Like, why are you being sensitive? It's not that big. That's not that big of a deal. You taking shit too far, right? So the first thing that I was having him do was identify what that is. What is this person trying to communicate to you? What is this person doing, right? What do y'all think this person is doing if they say, why are you so sensitive all the time? It's not that big of a deal. You taking stuff too far. It's not that deep, right? To me, that person is dismissing the way that you feel. That person is invalidating your experience, right? So for me, gaslighting is when you're denying something is happening, okay? Gaslighting is somebody, you know that this person did something. You know that you did something to affect this person, but you're making them think that they're delusional, right? For bringing it up. That's gaslighting, okay? This is diminishing how you feel, dismissing how you feel, invalidating your experience. Another example of this would be people who are like, well, I've been through worse, so y'all generation just so soft. I've been through worse than what y'all been through, right? That's another example of somebody invalidating your experience. And so the first thing before you communicate anything is that you have to identify what the issue is. And the issue is that you're invalidating my feelings, okay? The second thing you need to understand is that your feelings are always valid. Nobody can ever tell you how they make you feel. They can only tell you what their intention was. That's some of the best advice my mama has ever given me in my life. When my mama called me to hold herself accountable about how I felt when I was in college, what she said to me is, I can never tell you how you feel. I can only tell you what my intention was. Okay? That stuck with me for the rest of my life. That stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I didn't even have time to talk to her at that moment. But when she said that, that hit me like a ton of bricks, because she's right. Nobody can ever tell you how you feel, because how you feel is your soul speaking to you. That is your truth. They can only tell you that they did not intend to make you feel that way, right? And so what you need to understand about emotions is that they're always valid. So how do you feel about somebody telling you that your emotions are not valid? That's what you need to be responding to, okay? And so for me, in a situation like this, I would say something like, it may not be a big deal to you, but it is a big deal to me. And what you do and what you do is affecting me in a negative way. And I would really appreciate it if you respected how I feel, because when you don't, or when you respond to me in this way, it makes me feel like I'm unseen, I'm unheard, and that you don't value our friendship. And I need to be in community with people who value our friendship, people who support me, instead of trying to make me feel bad for clearly communicating how what they're doing is impacting me. Right? Does that make sense? So first you got to identify what the person is doing. Then you need to figure out how you feel about what the person is doing. Because if you've been disconnected from yourself, then you probably avoid emotional conversations altogether. Okay? Which means you're not looking for the patterns. So you got to re-identify, what is the issue that I'm having with what this person is saying to me. Then you say, how do I clearly communicate how they are making me feel? Because the only truth in any situation is how you feel. You don't know anything else. If you try to assign meaning to how you feel, you're operating based out of assumption. Okay? So one thing that I like to tell people is, hey, when you say this, it makes me feel like this. Was that your intention? That is an easy way to communicate. When you say this, when you tell me that I'm being sensitive, it makes me feel like I'm not being heard or listened to, or that my feelings are being invalidated. Is that your intention? And then you have them tell you back whether or not it was their intention, so that when you make the next step that you make, it's clear on why you're making this decision. But I think a lot of us skip the getting clear part, and we just assume things, and we're just like, oh, because they said X, Y, and Z, or they said I'm sensitive, that they don't love me, and so therefore I'm not going to talk to them anymore. You don't give them a chance to hold themselves accountable. You have to give people a chance to hold themselves accountable, right? So how I do this is I always tell people how they make me feel, and then I ask them what their intention was. Because you don't know their intention, you only know how you feel. That is the truth in the entire situation. Not every person, Brenda. And if you think that every person is going to not be accountable and that's what you are going to experience. I think that's again the assumption though, right? That's again what I'm talking about, the assumption. You assume that people are not going to hold themselves accountable, so then you don't communicate at all. Right? But then you don't know if they're going to hold themselves accountable because you have not given them the opportunity. That's what I mean by assumptions. They're not rooted in anything true. You're making that assumption because that's been your experience, but that doesn't mean that you approach everybody like that. No, I tried it for years. Okay, Brenda, you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out, so you don't need me. Okay? So the next one is going to be, wow, I guess you don't care about me anymore, right? What is somebody doing when they say that? Wow, I guess you don't care about me. Okay? Somebody calls you on, there you go, guilt tripping. They are guilt tripping you. Wow, I guess you don't care about me anymore. I thought you was my ride or die. Right? They're guilt tripping you. So the first one, they're invalidating your experience. That's always, this is the way that makes me feel. Was that your intention? Okay. Or it could simply be, hey, I do not appreciate it when you tell me that my feelings are not valid. I create space for you to be in a safe environment with me, and I do not judge you for the way that you feel. So I would appreciate it if you didn't do that to me. Okay. Now, the second one is they're trying to guilt trip you. What is guilt tripping, y'all? What is guilt tripping? Wow, I guess you just don't care about me. What are they trying to do? Manipulation. Guilt tripping is manipulation. Yes, making you feel bad. They're trying to manipulate you into prioritizing what they need in that moment over what you need in that moment. Okay? Yes, make you feel bad, which is manipulation. Right? So think of it this way. Say you get married and you had a best friend your whole life. You get married, now you got a husband to consider. And your best friend calls you and at 10 o'clock at night, it's like, oh my gosh, girl, I really want to go to this concert. Please come to this concert with me. And you like, nah, I can't. I'm gonna stay in tonight. Like it was last minute. Well, I thought you was my ride or die. Wow, that's so crazy. You don't care about me anymore. Everything is always about your husband. That is manipulation. They're trying to make you feel bad so that you compromise your boundary for them. Okay. So what I like to do in that situation, because people who guilt trip you are oftentimes the people that you love. Let's be serious. The only reason why it works is because you love this person. Right. And so what I always do first is acknowledge the person. Right. I acknowledge the person behind this because obviously you're feeling some type of way. You're feeling like I'm not supporting you or anything like that. So the first thing that I say is I care deeply about you. Okay. But I also need you to honor my limits. I'm telling you that I don't have the capacity to meet you where you are right now. And what you're asking me to do is to prioritize what you need over what I need right now. And I think that's very unfair of you to ask. I've already explained to you, this is the decision that I'm making. Me prioritizing myself is not me trying to hurt you. Me prioritizing myself is not me trying to hurt you. Right? I love you, but I just don't have the capacity to meet you there. I really would appreciate it if you honor my limits. And then now, please understand, I did not say don't disrespect my boundaries, because nobody can ever disrespect your boundaries. Nobody can ever disrespect your boundaries because your boundaries are something you're going to do. A demand is something you require of somebody else. A boundary is something you're going to do. Right? So a boundary looks like, when somebody is screaming and yelling at me, I'm going to walk away because I don't tolerate people speaking to me like that. When somebody tells me to shut up, I'm going to speak up because I don't tolerate people speaking to me that way. It's what I'm going to do, not what you expect them to do. Okay, so nobody can ever disrespect your boundaries. So it's like, these are my limits, I'm not willing to compromise what I need right now to prioritize what you need instead. And I think it's very unfair for you to try to manipulate me into compromising myself, or you're trying to manipulate me into abandoning myself so that you can feel comfortable. Okay? Bring it back to how it makes you feel, because that's the only true thing. You didn't say anything about having time, and I love that. Yeah, because it's not about that. It's not about whether, like, I don't think that's just an excuse. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm trying to say I love you dearly. I see you. However, I'm giving you what my limits are right now. I don't have the capacity to meet you right now. And I think it's very unfair of you to try to manipulate me or guilt trip me into compromising what I need in order to prioritize what you need in this moment. Me prioritizing me is not me trying to hurt you. Me prioritizing me is me trying to make sure that I make it to see another day. Right? So a big part of communication is honesty. I think so many of us are afraid to just say the wrong thing. We don't want to say the wrong thing, or we don't want to make anybody mad, or we don't want to disappoint anybody. Be honest about how things are making you feel, but first you got to be in tune with you, and you got to identify what's happening in that moment. And I think that's the disconnect. So that first one, they were dismissing you. This one, they're guilt tripping you, which is manipulation. They're trying to manipulate you. Okay? You got to know what they're doing in order for you to communicate clearly based on what they're doing. Okay? So the next one would be, you know what, friend? I know you told me not to just pop up at your house, but I was already over here. What's that? You know what, friend? I know you told me not to call you after 10 o'clock, but I really need to talk to you. Yep, the delivery is important, because when you're talking to somebody that you want to stay in community with, you need to have compassion and acknowledgement for what they are saying, crossing the boundary. Yes, they're violating a boundary that you set. Okay? They're violating an agreement that you guys have. Okay? What I need is more important than what you're telling me you need. This is a person who feels entitled to your space and your time. Okay? Now, I will say this, because of the culture that we have around friendship, a lot of times we feel like our friends have to be there for us. Our friends have to prioritize us, right? And so we feel entitled to their space and their time, even when they say, hey, friend, I would appreciate it if you didn't just pop up at my house. That makes me feel like X, Y, and Z, right? So what is something you can say when somebody is violating a standard that you have set for them, but with compassion, though? Okay? If you just pop, hey, friend, I understand that you was in an area and you wanted to see me. I love that you wanted to see me. But again, it's important to me that I have noticed that somebody is on their way to my residence so that I can make sure I am in a space where I can receive you. But when you refuse to do that after we've already had a conversation, it makes me feel like you're not listening to me, and that you're saying what I need is less important than what you need in the moment. And I think that's really unfair, because I want to make sure that we're both being seen in this relationship. And I wouldn't do you like that, even if I was in the area, even if I did need to talk to you real bad. If you told me this is where your limits are, I'm okay with that. So next time, please make sure that you call me and shut the door in their face. Okay? I love you, friend, and I know you're going through something. I see you, I hear you, but I've asked you not to call me at this moment because I'm trying to rest, and you asking me to sacrifice my rest time to meet you where you are right now when we've already had this discussion. So I love you, but no. Click. You got to enforce the boundary. If the boundary is, do not pop up at my house, do not call me after 10. If they pop up at your house or they call you after 10, your answer needs to be no. Because the boundary is what you're going to enforce, right? And so if you just let them in, you are the problem, not them. You got to clearly communicate, hey, we've already talked about this. You cannot pop up in my house without an invitation. It's very unfair for you to do that to me. Well, I was in the area. Well, you know what? I appreciate that, but we've already had this conversation. So I love you, but no. Click, shut the door. Hey, friend, I hear you going through something. I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, maybe when I get up in the morning, I could provide you with some resources. But right now, my rest is really important. I love you. I love you to life. But I can't do this right now. We didn't already talked about this. Click, drive home safely. Right? Okay. The next time, the conversation is different. The first time, you got to enforce the boundary so they know you're serious. The next time they do that, now it's a whole nother conversation. Now the conversation is, I am not going to be in community with people who refuse to listen to me. This is the second time we've had this conversation. And since you're not getting it, that's it for me. I need people around me who are going to honor what I need as much as I honor what they need. Had to put them in check, period. Does that make sense? So that's a violation. So the first one, dismissing your feelings. The second one, guilt tripping, which is manipulation, trying to manipulate you. Okay? To compromise yourself, to prioritize them. The third one, disrespecting a boundary, which means you're not being heard, you're not being respected. Okay? The third one, must be nice to have so much free time while the rest of us are working hard. Oh, you know, Taja in a little relationship, so she ain't got time for us no more. Okay, condescending. Not must be nice. Well, if you like it, I love it. You know, Taja got her little boyfriend. If you like it, I love it. What is that, y'all? Condescending, yes. But this is what sarcastic, yes. This is called throwing shots, yes. This is passive aggressiveness. Okay? This is passive aggressiveness. Right? Let me give you another example of somebody being passive aggressive. Okay? You're so well spoken, I wouldn't have guessed that. They're saying something indirectly, right? Right? Oh my gosh, you don't act black. You don't act like everybody else that's black. That's why I love Taja, because she don't act like other black people. Bitch, that's passive aggressiveness. Okay? So passive aggressiveness is different than somebody guilt tripping you. Guilt tripping is they're trying to make you and force you, manipulate you into doing it their way. Passive aggressiveness, they are throwing a shot. Okay? They're just doing it in an indirect way. And so how I handle passive aggressiveness is in a specific way. Yes, a microaggression. Okay? How I handle passive aggressiveness is, are you okay? That seemed a little malicious. And it seemed very indirect. And I prefer us have a direct conversation. Am I doing something that's bothering you? Make them say it with their whole chest. And make them say it clearly, because they're trying to say it indirectly so they don't have to say what they want to say. Make them say it clearly so that you are clear. When you move how you move, you're clear. Right? And so I always say, are you okay? That seemed a little malicious. Do you have something to say to me? I don't know, friend. That sounded a little sarcastic. It sounds like you're throwing shots. Is everything okay? Did I do something? I mean, you could ask them to repeat it, but it's still them being indirect. So you're still going to have to perceive what they mean. What do you mean by that? That's another thing. I always ask a question when it comes to passive aggressiveness. Must be nice to just sit around and be on. Why is that bothering you? What do you mean by that? Okay, I'm working on saying this with compassionate undertones. I mean, the undertone matters, friend. Mine is always curious. You tell me what you're trying to say, because that's unclear. Okay. I don't know, friend. That seemed a little malicious. Are you okay? Is everything okay? Did I do something? Why are you saying that like that? Do you feel some type of way about me having people that want to support me? Okay. That's how I handle passive aggressiveness. By repeating it, they'll have to sit with the energy they give. Okay. I get you. The reason why I asked the question, are you okay, is because psychologically, it forces them to be self conscious. It forces them to think about their actions. So I guess for you, that has the same effect as, are you okay? When you ask somebody, are you okay? They have to think about whether or not they're okay. Okay. All right. What about this one? You think you better than us because you doing all this healing stuff. You think you better than us because you went to college. You think, oh, she bougie now. What's that? What's that? You think you better than us. Oh, she bougie now. Somebody said, hey. Okay, what else? Projection. Yes, Ray. That is projection. It is also jealousy, but it is projection, right? Because they saying how they feel, but they trying to assign how they feel onto you. Okay? They're trying to assign how they feel onto you. Now, there's something I want you to understand about this before you respond. Okay? If this, usually the people who say this, you think you better than us now, oh, you think you did it, this is family. Okay, this is usually people that you love, people who have been around you and who have watched you evolve. And now they're trying to make it seem like you evolving is a bad thing. Understand this, okay? Because we got to look at things from a higher perspective, right? This is a person who sees you as competition. And the reason why this person sees you as competition is because at one point y'all probably were at the same place. And now, as you keep evolving and growing, they cannot keep up with your pace. And so now they're perceiving you as a threat, because we, just based off of society, we are taught survival of the fittest. And not only that, we have also been judged and graded very hardly when it comes to school, right? And it's like, oh, well, your cousin Tasha has straight A's. Oh, we're constantly being compared to each other. And then again, we're taught the survival of the fittest, which means there only can be one winner, right? And so now, because you're growing and you're evolving, you're making them feel like they're not doing enough. And so you're threatening their ability to stay comfortable. And so they see you as a threat, because now if you're not first, you're last. And now they see you gaining all this momentum and they cannot keep up with the speed. And so they're trying to bring you back down to where they are so that they can stay comfortable. Okay. I think everybody has been there. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we live in a society that is constantly comparing us to each other. There's not enough space for you to be you and me to be me and us to be able to exist in that space together. Right. And so people feel some type of way about that. Okay. So usually the people who are going to say, you think you better than us, is family. So I always start off with compassion. Okay. I cannot tell you how to feel. I can only tell you what my intention is. Okay. So I start a conversation off when it's projection and jealousy with, that is not my intention at all. Okay. That is not my intention to make you feel that way. That is not how I feel. Okay. I'm sorry that something that I'm doing is triggering you, and I'm open to us having a conversation about it. But please don't assume that you know how I feel about a situation, because I have not said that. Maybe you need to sit with yourself and figure out why you feel that way, because I'm not in competition with anybody. I didn't even know it was a competition. I think there's enough space for you to be special and me to be special and us to share space together. But we can't do that if you feel this way about me. So let's have a conversation about it. That's a conversation, right? That's not my intention at all. Please don't assign that to me or presume that you know how I feel. I've never once made you guys feel like I am better than you. And I don't want you to leave that taste in your mouth, because I don't feel that way. Let's sit down and have a conversation about why you're feeling that way. Because I want to give you a safe space to express how you feel, so that there is no tension between us, because I did not know that we were competing towards anything. Right? And then you also get people who are going to dismiss what you got going on. dismiss what you're doing. Okay, this invalidating your feelings, but you also have people who gonna dismiss what you're doing when it comes to career, or when it comes to spirituality, or when it comes to anything, right? You got people who are, you got to be practical. That's what they tell you about work. You're not being realistic. You're not being practical. We live in a world where you got to work a 9 to 5. And so you need to be realistic. That's them dismissing or minimizing what you are doing, and also trying to manipulate you into doing it their way. Okay. So what's something you can say to that? Hey, I understand that that is the way that you feel about your life, and those are the laws that rule your life. But I'm building something different for myself, which means that I got to go against the grain. I got to do it different than it's been done before. So allow me the space to do that without feeling the pressure of your projections and fears on me. Because I don't do that to you. So don't do that to me. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying about communication? You have to identify what they're doing first. You got to identify what's happening first. Are they invalidating your feelings? Are they guilt tripping you, which is manipulation? Are they projecting? Right? Are they violating a boundary? Are they diminishing your work? What are they doing? Right? That comes first. How do you feel about what they're doing? And then have the conversation, which means that even if you're new to this, walk away for a second. It's okay for you to say, you know what? I'm starting to feel some type of way about what you just said to me. I need a second to figure out how I'm feeling on the inside. Go for a walk. Come back and have the conversation, though. It's okay to need a second to think about it before you just react in the moment. And it's okay to do it the wrong way the first couple of times. What you want to do, the journey is about refinement, right? So what you want to do is go home after y'all had the conversation, after y'all screamed it out, whatever the case may be, and figure out what you liked about the conversation and what you didn't like about the conversation. The things that you like, keep. The things that you didn't, change. Come up with a strategy for the next time. Okay? So communication is one of the best skills that you could ever have in life. Okay? What about if somebody says, no, we already said that. You should be more grateful. It could be worse, right? It could be worse. Again, invalidating your experience. It was just a joke, invalidating your experience. Don't take things too serious. Right? So yeah, so that was interesting today that I did that practice. Basically just a mock exercise with one of my clients, because we are moving through the throat chakra, and we were just doing some practice. We were just practicing together, you know, and I realized how hard it was for me when I first started to learn how to communicate and things like that. And so I want to talk about that today, because I just was like, I don't know, maybe somebody's going through the same thing. And maybe it's meant for me to share. Child. All right. So let me see who the clients that's supposed to be on today. Because I'm supposed to be doing some readings. So we have Cinnamon. Is Cinnamon on? We have Cinnamon and we have Ama. Is Ama on or Cinnamon? No? Okay. I don't know about y'all, but this week, I don't know what happened this week, but I had an explosion of orders this week. And my schedule is filling up pretty quickly. This is my journal, y'all. It's a law of attraction journal too. It has like a lot of stuff in the beginning of it that like helps you to get organized and figure out what your mission is for the year. And I don't know if y'all can see this, but it has like and it tells you like the emotional scale. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it gives you it's so great. Like your goals for the year, you know, how to plan those goals, success, like all of the things. And every single month at the end, it has like a reflection. And that's really helped me to give myself grace, because I feel like sometimes I can't tell my impact because my brain don't work that way. It just don't be working that way. And so when I reflect at the end of the month, it's like 10 things that went well this month and all that. And I'll just be like, oh, damn, girl, you're doing the damn thing. Okay, girl, good. You know? So that was, I've been using that to help me stay on track. And I really have been doing a good job. I was going to say hating. Yeah. Projection is definitely them hating. They comparing themselves to you. And that's the thing. Beautiful. That's nice. Yeah. Thank you, love. If you booked or not booked, if you bought a deck on the pre-order, y'all, I still need about like 8 more people on the pre-order for the decks, and then I'll place the bulk order. Just giving y'all update on that. So that's coming. I'm trying to figure out how to move forward with mentorship, because I think I want to kind of do more embodiment work than mentorship now. And so I've had some spaces come up in the mentorship program in these last couple of weeks, and I don't know what to do with them because I haven't decided what I want to do. I feel like I kind of want to get away from the whole shadow work part of it and get more into like embodiment coaching. So I don't know. But I do like mentorship, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think I would miss it if I just completely did away with mentorship. So I think I might do a situation where I only take like 4 people at a time and then kind of move from there. So I don't know. I'm trying to like, I think I want to do like a 3, because what I'm doing right now with embodiment coaching is just a month, right? And so you have 3 sessions that are 2 hours in that month, and we're basically identifying what your lineages are, going over soul contracts, going over your oversoul mission, function, tone, all of that. And then I give you like journal prompts, affirmations, mirror rituals and stuff for you to do. And then on that last session, I'm giving you coaching on like what order I would do my healing and how I would kind of plan it out. And then you get an integration package, right? And then that's it. You know, it's a month. I'm just helping you identify it, coaching you, give you a coaching session, and then you go off into the wild and you start doing your shadow work, because I honestly feel like it is an internal journey. You know, I think with the mentorship, with me, what the mentorship has become is like me helping you through shadow work. And so I give you homework, you come back after you have done the homework, and then we talk about it, you know. But I feel like, I don't know, I want to make sure that I'm not helping people bypass, you know, spiritual bypass. I feel like sometimes you do need to sit with yourself. And if you got somebody to always talk it through with, then you're not doing the work that comes from you sitting in stillness and sitting present with your emotions. You have somebody giving you the answers, you know? And so I'm trying to get away from that because I don't like the idea of that. But I do think like with the embodiment coaching, now that I've done a couple of those full sessions or full month embodiment coachings, I do see the benefit of that being like a 3-month program or a 6-month program for people who need a lot more help. And it's very specific to what you're here to do. And so what you need to clear is very specific to what you're here to do. And, you know, I don't know. So I think I'm trying to like shift gears a little bit. And I think that would be a lot easier to manage, and I can get a lot more people in than doing the mentorship, how I've been doing the mentorship. So I'm trying to figure that out. So the embodiment coaching tier, because there's 3 tiers within the flame lineage readings. The first one is just identifying your primary oversoul lineage, and that's going to tell you your gifts, your shadows, you know, what it looks like when you're in alignment, out of alignment, and then also tell you like how this energy interacts with some other energy, like all of that. So that's tier 1, and that's 144, the 144,000. Okay. Tier 2 goes over soul contracts. It goes over oversoul function. It gives you all of your, not only your primary, but your secondary lineages. And your secondary lineages is going to be like generational, give it to me. Generational curses. It's also going to be like past life vows, imprints that are on your field, that type of thing. Which sometimes can come through relationships. Only certain people like activate that stuff in you and that type of stuff. And so that's tier 2. That's 222. Okay, which is balance, whatever. But you get an integration package with everything, and that integration package is loaded. There's so much fucking information in that package, and it takes me so much time to put it together. But you don't get a coaching session. You just, it's like self-study. Like, we identify it together. I tell you your oversoul function and how your oversoul communicates to you in its different facets. I give you an integration package that has the journal prompts, the rituals, the mirror affirmations that I will be doing, and then you do self-study with that. Okay, it's supposed to be just setting you up. And then the third tier, which is 555, this is, you get a whole month worth of coaching. So you get 3 sessions with me that are over 2 hours. I explain everything to you. And even, to be honest, it's really like 2.5 hour sessions, because the sessions are super fucking long because it's so much information. You know, I feel like it's almost overwhelming. It's almost overwhelming, you know. Highly recommend, period, Drika. It's almost overwhelming because there's so much information, but you do get coaching on that. So I tell you what order you need to operate, and then you get access to me for a month through a chat. And so as you're doing the work, as you're integrating, you can reach out to me and tell me what dreams are coming up, what, you know, anything that's coming up, and we kind of like keep it in contact. I'm making sure that you're on track for that month. And then the last session is a coaching session telling you what you need to understand, what you need to do. And then you get a video of all of this. You get the integration package that you're working through together. And then, yeah, we're working together. So somebody that I had yesterday, or the client that I had yesterday, we was ending her, you know, 3 sessions. And so we went through embodiment coaching, and she was telling me about like certain exercises or rituals that I had her do. She was doing them. And one of them, she like went to like a place in New Orleans, and she was on like the inside of this house, and there was a fire burning, and she was speaking incantations to the fire. And I told her that and I think she said it was in New Orleans or something like that. She had never been to this place before, but that's what she was seeing in the vision when she was doing the exercise or whatever. And this exercise was about you really speaking your truth, you know, and your truth comes through your inner fire, right? And so what was interesting about this is that in a previous lifetime, she got burned alive because she was ritualistic in a way. It was like, I think I was getting like 1890 or something like that, around that time. Down south Alabama area is what I was getting, right? But I seen her standing on this stage, and that she was burnt alive, like the Salem witch trials. And she was trying to explain herself. And I told her that she said she actually had a dream about her standing on a podium, and she was explaining something to somebody. She knows that she dies, but she couldn't see how she died, right? And so I was telling her, like, you're very ritualistic in your energy or whatever. And so as I'm explaining that to her, she brings up this situation, the vision that she had while she was doing this exercise. And that's just confirmation. She was literally doing an incantation, right? And so it's just interesting stuff, you know. It really is. Past incarnations are deep imprints for our current lives. Some of them are, yeah. Yep, some of them are. And this is like, her whole energy in this life is based off of that specific timeline where she was burned alive. And so this life, she's supposed to get back in tune with her heart, you know, feeling safe again. She's supposed to get back in tune with Earth's wisdom. So like anchoring to her body, integrating to her, things like that. And then she's supposed to speak up, you know, and speak her truth, because she also has this crystalline, because she's here to reflect other people, not here to really be met, which means she got to get clear all her fears and her projections, so that when she's reflecting other people, she's not projecting her own shit onto other people. And then she does have this energy that helps her be more precise and exacting, you know. And so I was helping her organize how to heal that, or how to put that together yesterday, which was really, really, really interesting. And I loved it. But I love the work that I'm doing. It's like, I love the direction that I'm evolving in. And I don't know. I just love it. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. I actually had a family member call me who needs a reading. And since I have not, my people who is supposed to be on here are not on here to get their reading, I will probably be on here tomorrow, y'all. Thursday, I don't know what time, but if you're on my Patreon or if you're on my YouTube, I usually post what time I'm gonna be live. But I'll probably be on here tomorrow. This will be on YouTube if you want to go back. What I would suggest with the communication part that we was talking about is write out examples of the different categories that I gave y'all, okay? Because I feel like, hey, Willow, I feel like a lot of times when it comes to communication, they fall into those, oh, okay, hey, Mindful Wellness, welcome, love. But a lot of times when you're trying to communicate, it falls into one of those categories. Somebody dismissing how you feel, somebody guilt tripping you, somebody disrespecting a boundary, right? Somebody being passive aggressive. I do not do removing spells, my love. And then the last one is somebody projecting, right? And so I think it's so important for you to identify how that's shown up in your life so that you can figure out how to respond to that preemptively. Because I think communication really just comes from being in tune with your emotions and being clear about where your boundaries lie. And I don't think that you can be clear about it if you never really looked at it, right? If you can't identify what's happening in that moment. And so I think it's important. What I would be doing after this live, if you watch the full thing, is go and write down examples. Write down 5 examples of how this has appeared in your life, and then how you would respond to that. When it comes to communication, period, the first question I ask myself is, do I want to stay in community with this person? Okay, because that's going to determine if I meet you with light, or if I meet with love, or I meet you with fire. Okay. Do I want to stay in community with this person? If you want to stay in community with that person, compassion has to be in the room. You have to acknowledge what they're saying, or acknowledge where that's coming from for them. If somebody is projecting onto you, it's not that they don't love you. It's just that they're comparing themselves to you, right? Or they have fears, because projection comes from your internal fears, right? And so you want to acknowledge what's going on with them, but also let them know, like, hey, don't do that over here. You in a safe space. Don't put that on me, right? So I will write down a couple examples of each category and then respond to it. I'm not air or fire, my love. I'm earth. So that's what I would do. I'm heavy earth. So I'm a Taurus. I only have one air element and one fire element. But I will say this, my Taurus I'm a Capricorn Taurus, meaning I'm a 3rd decan Taurus. But my degree of Taurus is in Sagittarius. And that's where you could be getting that from. My mama is also a Sagittarius, so I think I'm a lot more direct in communication. And then my Mars is also my Mars is my air placement, which is about passion. That's what I'm getting. Okay. Period. What's up, sister? So I love y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and head out because I have somebody who called me who's a family member who needs a reading. So I need to reach back out to them while I have time in between clients. Amma and Cinnamon, I guess I'll catch y'all next time on live, but I'll be on here tomorrow for sure. And yeah, I love y'all. Have a great rest of y'all day.